I thought this was to solder points, but this is actually contact points. Well, that's definitely something that I need to look at. This is contact spray. I use it a lot. I hope this is the solution. Follow along. What I'm going to do is neutralize. We're trying to isolate the earth between the ECM and the ground, the main ground. Basically what we do is we find, this is B1. You'll see it's got the same green and silver end. So we stick that in gently so we don't want to damage the terminals. We turn that on so we get contact, and then we find the wire that's on here. Okay, I got lucky first time. Take this wire, the second wire, which is connected directly to the ECM, and you're going to cut it. You're going to cut it somewhere along here. Then you're going to bypass that wire with another piece of wire, and you're going to connect it to the main earth, which is over here. Let me show you. And you're going to go to the main earth block, which is there. Okay, so that we bypass that earth block. So if there's any issues with any of the lights, brake lights, earthing, or anything that's draining the ECM and causing the light to flash, we're going to eliminate that from our problem. So we slowly get to the root cause of this issue. I'm going to put the terminal back on now. No, we still have a fighter. Today we're going to be looking at trying to solve this electrical problem. It's been a plague for me. I think whoever owned this bike moved some of these core cables around inside the plug. Now that's pretty unprecedented, because when you do that and you don't keep a record of that, I mean, it is just like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I think I've found certainly an inconsistency in the cable. So let's get to it, and hopefully we can get on with the actual restoration work. The bit that all of us like, the nice shiny stuff, the nice bits and pieces that this company CarbonBikeRepair do so well here. So let's get to it. Let's get this bike, all these woes out of the way, and get this baby going. First thing we're going to have to do is figure out how we actually get these pins out. So I'm going to have a good look in here. But the offending pink is this one, which on no diagram can I or anybody else see where that pink lives on this third slot, this third hole. Where I do see it is over here on this slot. So I'm going to swap it round, and then I'm going to check it. In other words, if this works and the FI light goes off, then I don't need to do any destructive remedy. So let's get on with that. So we have Wayne Shorter. He's ex sax player from Weather Report, a fantastic musician, playing at Live Under the Sky 1991, Outdoor Auditorium, Herbie Hancock, Omar Kim, who played with Sting, phenomenal trio. Check it out. Oh, so now the green light's not going off, and the FI light's just hovering there. Okay. So the continuity between these are fine. I put the pink back where it was, and I turned the ignition on, and nothing would change from what I just converted it to when I moved the pink to the new slot. So I thought, oh my God, what have I done now? I was working on this last week, and this is a real problem area. Some people tell you to solder all the joints together, all the ground. This is a ground block. You don't do that. The reason is that there's a higher voltage set of grounds and a low voltage set of grounds. So you dissipate the ground to the low voltage components, you do damage to those things. So whatever you read on the forums, they might have success with sticking them all together until one day when it's all going to go pear-shaped, and there's a very good reason why. So if you're going to solder all the parts together, solder these 4 and then these 3 separately. Do not mix them together, okay? So basically what I did was I pulled the pins out. They were loose, so I widened them, stuck them back in again, and it's come to life again and producing that same flashing light. So I'm going to take this off and put it back where it was on what I think is the correct pin, and fingers crossed, please, please, don't blow up. Oh, man, really? No. Okay, these earth blocks around. No. Okay, so back to the drawing board. This hasn't worked. I'm going to keep this pin in here, and I'm going to go and look at all the other wires that are on this system and see where the problem is. It's got to be somewhere. I will find you. So folks, here we are at the last ditch attempt to try and solve this FRBOOFI's problem with electrics. The FI light is not turning off. I've checked all the grounds, I've gone through all the wires, I've checked continuity between all sorts of things. The hiss, remember, the yellow and red wire had been fractured, separated in the middle of the wire. There was no indication of any damage there, so it was a complete fluke that I found it. So that was repaired, thinking that was the issue. Well, the bike started, as you saw, but the problem when the ECU is not working correctly is that it can't register or do any analysis on the engine. So none of the sensors are activated. So it's kind of done in limp mode. Which means that it's not running optimum. And in this case, having run it a few times, having taken the spark plugs out to check, because I saw a lot of black soot in the exhaust pipe, so the spark plugs were completely carbonized. So that can't be right. I can only assume that the issue is that the ECU is not making adjustments to the engine as it warms up. So the indications are all clear that it's looking like it's the ECU issue, which is the drama, because the problem with ECUs is that you need a key for the ECU to operate with the HISS system. So they need to work together. So what I've done is, some weeks ago, if you saw again in the first video, I'd actually bought one prematurely, not understanding the complexities of this. However, I am now in a position where I'm going to reprogram these keys to the new ECU, or the one that I bought that supposedly works. So I'm going to plug that in, reprogram the key, and then see if that's going to solve my FI light. If it does, then this motorcycle is a runner. So there's some things that just you can't win at, and other things you have to make compromises for. And this is one of the life's lessons, is that when it comes to ECU, that's the beginning of Big Brother, where this system, although very handy, it's quite disconcerting when you see a black box that's been epoxied closed and there's no way you can repair it. It kind of leaves you hanging. You're very much at the mercy of the industry. And I have tried my best. I'm going to give it one more go. If it works, then I'm sure you'll all celebrate with me as we try and get this VFR up and running. But it has really stumped me now, and I need to solve it. Okay, I'm going to make up a wire to try and reprogram the ECU, or the keys to the ECU. We got a positive and negative. I'm just waiting for the delivery of the resistor. It's the 1K ohms and 1 watt metal or carbon film resistor. Is the engine crank position sensor, which is found in the body of the engine bay. I've obviously taken the throttle body out for various other reasons, but you'll see it there. There's a white plug and a red one. You want to go to the red one. If you look inside the plug, you'll see you need a tool like this slipping out the back of the plug. So you want to stick that in, press it in, and it pops out like that. So negative to white and yellow, positive to the yellow only. Okay, now what should happen is that the hish light, none of this should go off. Exactly. So this is the new ECM. You can see a solid light, and the hiss light is solid. So we know we've got the new ECM in, and the old one, which is I think is faulty, is we'll put aside. One of the old keys, which I'm going to reprogram now to that ECM. Make sure they're not touching. Put the negative on first. I don't know if that makes any difference, but I'll just do that first for safety's sake. And the positive on the positive terminal. You want to have good access to be able to take that on and off, so I'm going to practice that a little bit, because you need 5 seconds, no less than 5 seconds on off when you turn the ignition on. Before I do that, let me just show you again. Positive red onto the yellow, negative black onto the white yellow of the crank position sensor. That goes onto the battery. Right, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's flashing. Four times. All right, so turn that off. Now, I'm not going to program my second key, just in case there's a problem. So I've got one key with the old ECM, and I've got this key with the new ECM. We take off the power and reconnect that. This key should be coded. Now what should happen is this should prime, so that should go off, and the ECM, the hiss light should go off. If this is correct. Right, fingers crossed, folks. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to go through the process again. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Put the old ECM back in again, reprogrammed that key back again to the old ECM, went through the same procedure, and then it lit. Hiss light goes off, and my FI light is flashing again, just solid flashing. There's no code. It's not giving any messages at all. So we're back where we started. At least I tried that. So now I'm going to go back to the drawing board and see what else I can do to try and identify what is going on. So yeah, this one's got me. This one's really got me. I don't really know what to do from here. No, you're not seeing double. This is another VFR I bought today, and yes, I'm afraid, needs must, I had to do this. So what I've done is I've bought a donor bike, another bike. This is a runner, seems to run fine. It is, however, a bit confusing, which needs a bit of investigation. But this is a 2000, so this strictly speaking should be the interim phase, the 2000 to 2001 model. And that was a few changes made on those bikes. One included an automatic choke, and this is definitely a 2000. I've got the paperwork, but I'm seeing this choke. So something is not right. I can only guess that maybe at some point the engine was changed, or maybe the throttle body was changed out for whatever reason, and a manual choke fitted to it. So I need to look into that. Also, these have 1998 condom style lights, which is not what the other ones have. So all a little confusing. I've got this sort of holding up the front bit here. There's some damage down here. The tank has got 2 dents in it. This has got some repair work that's cracked. Let's have a look. Put the lights on. Right, so the answer is don't use epoxy. Now the FR light stays on. Well, that's different behavior. Having shorted the service, I'm now getting some proper readings now, some codes, loads of codes. So we're gonna erase those, because those are coming from the memory on the ECU, so we don't need those. Those are from the other bike, so we'll eradicate those. Alright, let's film the new codes. I've cleared that, so what we're seeing now is codes from the bike. So whatever sensors are not attached. So there's one, single one. It's another code. 1, 2, 3. So that was it. So as you've seen now, I've swapped out the HSS security plug system for another one. I've put in the ECM that goes with that key. You've got to understand that you can't just buy a separate ECM on its own like that. It's absolutely useless. You've got to get the key coded for this. I tried that with the old key, coded it to that, still didn't work. So I'm not sure how that works, but you probably want to be checking that out. What I've done was I have shorted out the service plug, plugged in all the little things temporarily here, so you can see they're not attached to the airbox, and that will tell the computer that everything is linked up, so I can find the exact code issues that still reside with this motorcycle. Let's have a look and see. Right, this is my first time I'm doing this, so I'm kind of nervous, but I'm expecting it to work. Come on, stay off. Oh my God. Yes, 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 yes. Sorry, I just have to do this again. This is so cool. Come on, baby. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh man, it's been like, I don't know, 2 months maybe more, of just going through every single thing. This earth wires, man, everything. So that is just brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, let's recap. All the electrics are good. Computer's happy. Bike is ready to be built. So now we get to the restoration stage. Right, it's the next day. I've put the throttle body in. I'm not going to take you through the pain of that. Plug is in, so let's go. Let's turn that on. Okay. Sounds a lot better. Have to watch the idling, turn it down here if it's too much. Just let it warm up there. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's missing anymore.